Hello, hello. I want to kick this off with hearing how your homework went last week. I know I threw a lot at everyone. And so I want to be able to open it up for any questions. I want to be able to, if you guys got some responses, if you were like, I'm really stuck, I don't know how to answer this, I don't know where to move on from here, feel free to ask in the chat or unmute yourself. I really want to give you guys a space to ask questions and to help you move along in that. If you didn't have any questions, I would love to hear how your homework went. I was reading in all the comments, and I'm very, very proud of you guys. I know that was a lot, especially week 1. I kind of was like, and here you go. You're gonna like trial by fire, but you guys did amazing. Anybody have any specific questions or want to share anything before we jump in too far?
I'll say this. For me, I've done a lot of this kind of stuff before I've been in a long time. And the list was probably the hardest thing for me because I've done that multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you feel like I think I wrote down every person I know in the world, but it kind of forced me to go back through like what you were talking about, Cassie, and like different areas of your life. And there were, if I'm being honest, there's people that I have in those areas that I've never reached out to or even tried to connect with as far as plexus. So that was, that was a good practice. That was a good, um, it was a good exercise to do. And then I also, with my why, went a lot deeper. It's easy to go, oh, I want financial freedom,
Right.
So, and you and Kyle taught us on that, like what's that level? Then what's that level? That kind of thing. So did a little bit of that too. And that I think was good to do also. So even if you've been in a long time, doing those steps can be really helpful, I think, in guiding you in how you want to move forward.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. I think that a lot of times with the list, with our why, we just kind of sometimes bypass that and we just want to like get into action, and like, okay, like I'm just going to post, I'm going to reach out. And I find that sometimes if we slow down to speed up, it really does make all the difference. And I find that even now I'm like, oh, I've run out of people to talk to, but it's taking that time to really brainstorm who I'm intentionally wanting to serve and wanting to connect with. I think it makes a really big difference. And I recommend doing it every month because that list, I mean, if you sit here and as you're reaching out, you've got to repopulate that list, right? And if you're running out of names, then that means you're in the space where we need to be going and finding new names, right? We need to go find new relationships. So it's a continual thing. And I know that when my business kind of slows down, it's because I don't have names on that list. So I think that that's really, really good. All right. Hello. Okay. Let's see, Ruby, you said if you have someone who doesn't answer you when you ask if they are interested, but they keep watching your Plexus post, do you stop asking them if they are interested? That's a really good question. I will say the majority of people, I don't know if you guys have noticed that yet, but when you reach out, I would say the majority of people either don't respond. I don't say they necessarily ghost you, but I feel like a lot of people are super busy. They kind of read it. But what I find that it does when you are reaching out, it makes people watch. It makes people watch what you're doing. And so if someone has not responded, but yet they're looking at my stuff, I can see them in my stories. That's a really clear indicator that they're at least interested. And I put them on my short list. Now I don't follow up and like, hey, I see you watching me. But I will definitely focus on building that relationship. And so sometimes that means following up by not talking about plexus at all. Sometimes that means just building some relationship, obviously. Like, I think that, I mean, some people just need to stalk your stories or stalk your posts for a little while. But that's another one of those touches, right? Like we talked about, often people need, I mean, the statistics are crazy high now. But initially it was like 8 to 12 touches or exposures before they say yes. And so now it's probably up to the 20s because we're so bombarded by everything on social media. So often it's just as they're watching, that's just another exposure. So I put them on my short list and I just continue really building the relationship. And then every once in a while, I follow up with plexus, like if a sale comes out or something, something like that. Yes. I love that, Spring. Yes. You know what? And that's the thing is I know that so often they either don't know how to respond, they're too busy, they meant to respond. I always assume the best. And so my reach outs when I'm thinking about reaching out, it's not necessarily I don't feel like it's just only if you get a response that is successful. I think it's honestly planting seeds and putting that in. They're going to be watching for sure. So reach out, even if they're not responding, that's okay. Okay. All right, you guys. Anything else that came up through the homework? All right. And real quick, if you guys are on Robin Sullivan's team, what I'm realizing is I think Kyle may have given a Zoom link, this Zoom link to Robin's team as well. If you're on Robin's team, go see if you have, Kyle, I think created a new Zoom link because we have 2 meetings going on at the same time. So if that's the case, I'm really sorry. I'm realizing he asked me earlier today, he was like, hey, I'm going to use the Zoom link at 7 o'clock. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm using it. And so I think he created a new one. So if you're on Robin's team, you will not see Kyle right now. So go see if, let me text him and make sure. Okay. So if that's you, maybe check Robin's, Candace, I'm sorry. That's what I just told Kyle. I was like, I don't know the Zoom link that he's doing. I'm sorry. That's the hard thing when you both use the same Zoom link. And I was like, I don't know if you can be on the same Zoom, different links at the same time. Everybody's like, wait a minute, I'm on. So yeah, so if you're on Robin's team, Kyle created a different Zoom link. Go check Robin's team page and see if, or the chats and see if they've got it there. Super sorry. I know that's so confusing. But I was like, wait a minute, I know some of these people that. Okay. All right, so we are going to jump right into some training. And I do want to say we had, I went through and I did a random name winner picker, whatever you call it. And for the winner, it was anyone that completed the homework. And Tessa, I don't know if you are, yeah, you're on. Yay. Tessa, your name came up as the winner, which is super exciting. Yay. So
Thank
Tessa,
you.
yay. I'm so proud of you. I know that's what I was like. I know I threw a lot at you. So congrats. I'll connect with you after the call and get your your mailing address and all the things and send your prize in the mail. So every week we have a challenge based on the training, and then we have a week to do the activity. Last week was a lot. This week will not be as much, but it is going to be just as fruitful. So I'm really excited about what we've got going on this week. So tonight we are going to kick it off with Stephanie Swanson. She is going to be sharing some amazing, amazing things. She is somebody that really, really like challenges me and inspires me in a lot of ways. And tonight she's going to be sharing about mindset, because I know that as you were probably getting into that work, you're getting into your activity, the first thing that pops up is usually some negative thoughts, some thoughts that like, ooh, kind of push back a little bit. So we're going to kick it off with Stephanie. You want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Yes. Okay. And I have a little Canva like presentation. So can
Oh,
I,
perfect. Let me make you a co-host real quick. And
okay. And I'm gonna try to put it
look at
in
you.
you. It's like I need something to keep track of my thoughts
Totally.
here.
Okay. It should let you share the screen.
Okay. Okay. Is that I have never done this on Zoom before. Does that do people? I can't see people. Can you see the slides? I can't even. Oh, no. Oops. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Go back here. Okay. Is all right. Can you see slides or no? Sorry. Wonder if I
Oh, it'll do. Do you see the
oh,
green button
there
that
we go.
says share
Share
screen?
screen. Yes, yes. Okay. Do this. There we go. Okay. Now, are we seeing it? Okay, good. All right. Woo. Okay. So, I really wanted to share. This is something I go back to a lot, and even just like a lot lately in my mind. Like lots of things have been coming up for me, and so this is just real time, like stuff that I am working on. And I was like, I'll share it with everyone else because maybe it would be really helpful for them. This is just kind of a short little bit of what I learned doing Kristen Boss's social selling leadership school last fall. So I just want to put that at the beginning. Like this is nothing that I have come up with. Just kind of going from one of the little sections of this leadership school, which is actually was so helpful to work on myself and becoming just aware of my own thoughts and the things that come up when I sit down to do my business or just day-to-day life. Like what are the thoughts that are coming up and how those affect our actions, because our thoughts and our stories that we tell ourselves then lead us to like what we're feeling and then lead us to take action or to not take action. So it really is really important. So our goal for tonight in this is just to create some awareness around the outcomes we currently are creating and then learn how we can create different ones. So for outcomes, it's just the results of the actions or inactions that you've taken. So our unintentional thoughts, which is like our default, and most of our thoughts every day are like the default thoughts that we have. Most of them are negative. Like I think the statistic is 80% of our thoughts are just naturally negative, right? So often these unintentional thoughts create undesirable outcomes, the things that we don't really want to continue happening in our life, but because we keep having these same stories in our mind about ourselves or about circumstances in our life, we kind of just stick with these same outcomes. But when we have intentional conscious thoughts, like the goals that we have or the things that we want in our life, those create desirable outcomes. Oops, sorry, I was getting Cassie. I don't know if you can also see, it's like telling me there's people in the waiting room. I don't know if you can still admit them or if I need to admit them. I think there might be people from like
Yeah, I think I'll do it. Thank you.
Okay. I was like, there's no names I recognize on there. So anyway, so we're going to be talking about how do we go from those unconscious thoughts and the undesirable outcomes that we want, that we don't really want, to the intentional thoughts and creating the outcomes that we do want. So often we know what outcomes we desire, like maybe I know I want to reach a certain rank, or I want to be able to bring in this much extra money every month. Or maybe it's like a desire around even like a health goal that you have. But there's usually a big disconnect between how we live each day and what we actually say we want for our lives or for our businesses. So I could say that I want to like be stronger, or I want to like run a marathon. I don't actually want to, but I could say those like, oh, I really want to do that someday. But if I don't ever like lift weights, or if I don't ever practice like actually running, then obviously I'm not going to, I don't maybe really want that thing that I say that I want, and I'm not going to get to that place. So when we become aware and curious about the outcomes that our thoughts are creating, we can decide that we want to change. And the great thing is, like, when you start to be more aware of this, you can choose, like, you don't have to stay stuck with those same default negative thoughts. It just takes some practice, and you can start replacing those, and when you start to be able to change those thoughts, you can create different outcomes. So what happens though, if I feel stuck in my current behaviors and I can't seem to reach my desired outcomes? That is, I don't know if that happens to anyone else. That is definitely true for me. Even I feel like lately I'm like, oh, I'm still doing this, or I'm still not able to like get my business work done early in the morning before I head off to work. Or I keep staying up late when I really say that I would like to go to bed earlier and get up earlier. So this is kind of like the first step, when you you become aware of those behaviors that are resulting in your current outcomes, and then just really taking responsibility for those actions that you are taking, even if it's you don't really want, if it's the things you don't really want, but just taking ownership of, okay, like I could be going to bed earlier, but I keep like getting on my phone before bed or whatever, or I get on my computer and start checking email, and then it kind of leads to like a rabbit trail of other things. So I just need to take ownership of, oh, okay, I'm doing this. That's actually not helping me get to the outcome I want. So we can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond. So again, there's going to be different things that happen, like your kids get sick, or you get sick. Sometimes you can't really do much about that. You have a week where you get sick, or there's tons of activities happening with the kids, or just work is crazy, whatever it is. You can't always control those things, but you can control how you respond. And if you want to change how you're responding to those things. It's always easier for our brains to blame someone else or an outside circumstance for our current results, and look for evidence of that being true. So if one of my default thoughts is my kids are always, I think I just can't get any work done when my kids are home because, they're fighting or whatever, they're doing something. And then my brain is going to just keep finding evidence of that for me every day. Like, oh, look, there it is again. Like, I sat down to work and my kids are, interrupting or coming in and they're fighting about something. Or maybe it's like your brain just keeps saying that you don't have enough time. Like, I don't have time to do this business or whatever it is. And it's just going to look for evidence of like, well, see, you have a full-time job, or you have this going on or whatever. Your brain is always going to kind of look for evidence to really solidify those beliefs that are kind of the things that keep us more comfortable, keep us from taking risks, keep us from growing, because our brain just wants us to be comfortable and to not change and to not take risks. So that's our brain's default. The good news though is, like I said, we get to decide what to do and what actions we take on a daily basis. So I'm going to, let's see if I can put this in the chat. I have a Google Doc, and maybe there'll be time, maybe there'll be time for people to kind of take a look at this now, or this can be something that you do later in the week. Let me see. I'm going to try to put it in the chat. And you should be able to make a copy of this document and then save it and like edit it yourself. So I put the link in the chat, and then you can let me know. You should be able to open it. And if you open it in Google Docs, and then trying to think of where, somewhere like in the menu bar, there should be an option to, like, maybe it's under file, make a copy, then you'll have it for yourself, and then you can actually be typing in it, and it just, you can see what you type in it. So this was part of like an exercise that Kristen had in the social selling leadership school, and I thought it was really helpful. And it's even something I was just thinking lately, like, okay, I need to do this again. So you first just take some time to list your current outcomes, and it's in the Google Doc, there's a few questions that help you kind of think through. So think just kind of listing out everything, like, you know, it could include lots of things besides your business. It could include like parenting or your family relationships, maybe your 9-to-5 job, if you have a 9-to-5 job, money management, all that kind of stuff, maybe your health. So just listing just outcomes, kind of without, you know, don't try to have like a lot of judgment about it. Just list like what are the results that I have right now. So when I had done this before, you know, some of like one of the ones I wrote down for just like money management is like, I'm not tracking expenses really well, or budgeting like the way that we really want to. My husband and I kind of did this together, which was really helpful. Even like we both thought of different areas of our life and did this. My, you know, like even spiritual life, like, okay, where am I at in my faith, and what's going well, what's not really going well, parenting, just all the kinds of things, even like in our marriage, like what were we currently seeing, and then we'll get to, you know, like what do we want to see and how do we get there. So anyway, you kind of write out all of your outcomes, and then you decide, do you like your outcomes? In some places you might, and that's fine. There might be other places where you don't like the outcomes that you're getting. So like with our like budgeting, like we aren't really keeping good track of just expenses and all of that. So that's something that I don't like. I'm like, okay, that is an outcome I would like to change in my business. And it kind of goes to my bedtime, but that affects me being able to work my business. Am I not going to bed early enough? I'm not gonna be able to get up early enough to work my business. And that's something I've been struggling with. So that's an outcome that I don't really want to keep. I would like to change that. So then you kind of think of like what behaviors are creating your current outcomes. So I kind of mentioned before, like for mine, if I don't feel like I'm very consistent with my business right now, one of the behaviors is not going to bed early enough. So I get up early enough to do that before I go to work each day. Maybe it's just kind of a lack of prioritizing time for different things. Like maybe you're not making time for exercising if you've been wanting to exercise more, or to kind of get healthier in certain ways. So those are just kind of some questions that you can think through. And like I said, it's a good exercise to even kind of go back and just spend some time on. But as you start to look at the current outcomes that you've written down, you may start to feel like some shame, look, like I'm so bad at this, or oh, I'm still like, I'm still doing this and I really wish I wasn't. Or you might want to blame others, like blaming maybe somebody who is not supportive of your business, somebody in your family is not supportive of your business, or blaming like blaming your work, your job, whatever it is. So this is kind of like you take radical ownership of your results, but also you need to have radical compassion for yourself. And this I think is one of like the hardest thing. If you can learn how to have compassion and just be curious and think like, that's interesting that I do that, or that's interesting that that's the outcome that I'm getting right now, instead of, oh, I'm so bad, I should just give up. If you can have compassion and just be really curious about it, it's a lot easier to be able to move forward because you're taking ownership and not just feeling like a victim of your circumstances. But it's important to have that compassion because your brain is just trying to keep you safe, keep you from doing anything scary, right? Keep you from growing because the brain sees that as like scary. And so you just can have compassion and just say to your brain, like, okay, thank you, but I'm good. I'm gonna go do this now. I want to move on. I want to do something different. Because you can decide to make a change. So then the second page of that Google Doc is, let's see, there we go. The second page of that Google Doc is similar questions, but now we're thinking about what you'd like to create in 5 years, or maybe you'd want to think like 1 year from now, maybe 5 years also. You can think, in different time increments too. So what do you want your relationships to look like? Your finances, your business, all those different things. And then, so you kind of list those out again. And then you think about what behaviors you would need to do to create those future outcomes. And what stories or beliefs do you need to have now to be able to take those actions to get to those future outcomes. So, and this is kind of, like having that why in mind from your homework this past week and thinking about like the future, like what do I want to create that's different? And that's really helpful. So maybe even thinking back to the homework from last week, or if you didn't do it and you're catching up, like I am catching up on some things, like this will be helpful. It will kind of go together. But yeah, just going through and really thinking about what do I want to see as outcomes in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now. And then the really key thing is just commit to the process of becoming. This is one of the things that Kristen says I really, really like, because it's hard for our brains to just change overnight, right? It's hard to just change habits overnight. It takes time. Like our habits of thought, changing those takes time. So commit to the process of becoming who you want to be and becoming the person that gets those outcomes that you've listed out. And then she says, be, do, have. So a lot of times people think, if I just had a business builder doing this with me, or if I just had more time, then I could be more successful or whatever. But what we really need to start with is being that person that we want to become now, like thinking like that person. And I feel like, a lot of trainings, Plexus trainings, you'll hear like kind of thinking and acting like you're already a diamond, or you're already, at that rank that you're wanting to get to. And like, am I running my business like a diamond would, or like a ruby would, or a gold would? Am I being the spouse right now that I want to be 5 years from now? So really taking on, like, you start to change when you start to have that identity shift in yourself, and you start to take different actions. Then if you still just keep thinking like, well, I'm terrible with time management, or I just always whatever, the old thoughts, if you just keep believing those instead of consciously trying to change them, you're going to continue to act out of those thoughts and beliefs. So yeah, I think that was it. Anyway, lots of good stuff from Kristen, and I feel like it's challenging for me too, like stuff that I'm working on all the time. So this is like a good refresher for me to to go through this. I hope this was helpful for you guys too. But yeah, I think that's, oh, maybe I had, no, I think that was it. Yeah.
That was so good. Stephanie, the chat's like, everybody's like, so good, so good. We all need this reminder. And no matter whether you've been in it a week or you've been in it a year, 9 years, however much, our brains are, I really believe in this business, it is like 80% mindset and 20% skill. We can learn the skill, but if we don't learn to master our mind, we truly, I think we're our own worst enemy. Like when I think about this business, it really, truly, I'm not competing against anyone. I'm not, it's not a, it was really, truly what is in between my two ears is the very thing that is either going to keep me where I'm at or be the catalyst to growth. And so thank you so, so much. And I just love how it all blends together. We didn't plan this. It was, Stephanie really just had this on her mind, on her heart to share, but it goes perfectly with what we are jumping right into. We are going to chat, a little bit about mindset, because the thing is, as we talked about the skills part of it, right? Like, what do we say? What do we do? But as we get into action, I promise you, every one of us had thoughts that ran through our mind that was like, whoa, like this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. Or, if you see over here on the left, under fixed mindset, you probably had some sort of thing that, thought like this that popped up in your mind. And what Stephanie talked about is the awareness. These thoughts, they're going to come. I promise you, they're going to come. If they haven't already, they're going to come. When I look at my thoughts, it's an immediate, like, yep, those thoughts come up, but we are not going to allow those thoughts to dictate and control our actions. Most of my life, I did. I was the type of person that when something was hard or I came up against resistance, I was like, this isn't for me. This is hard. I'm out. I took it as a sign that I wasn't supposed to be doing it, right? And I was the type of person that started a lot of things and never finished them. Because I had that fixed mindset. I wasn't in a space of really truly growing. And it wasn't until I stepped into plexus and I was confronted with that resistance immediately, I had to make that decision. My why that we all worked through our why last week. If you didn't, go back and do that, because it is your why that is going to be the very foundation that is going to, when you hit that resistance, when those thoughts come up am I going to choose to settle back into this fixed space, the space that has kept me where I'm at? Or am I going to choose to lean in and grow through this? You see on both sides of this, we have the option of switching the thought. But most of us aren't even aware of it. So as you're getting into this, I want you just to be aware of them. And remember, like, just like Stephanie said, like, no shame over the thoughts that come up. Sorry, my husband keeps texting. No shame over the thoughts that come up, because you're actually not, like, thoughts are going to come up. You're not in control of the thoughts that just pop up in your brain. you are in control of whether you really believe them and sit with them, if you let them take hold. So when we sit here and we look at, this is hard, like I give up. Absolute, like I will promise you, I've had those days when I have to sit and think, nope, like, yes, this is hard, but I am going to persevere and I'm going to keep trying. Here's one. I made a mistake. When I started, I was so afraid of failure. I was so afraid of doing this wrong because I felt like if I did it, like my why was so strong and I was like, I have to make this work. What if I fail? And as I've learned, like failure doesn't scare me anymore. And so I've learned to like, no, mistakes, failures, that helps me grow. So I embrace it now. This is a big one. I don't know how. We can flip that and say, well, I can learn how. Every single one of us can learn how to do this. Every single one of us. And I will tell you the things I'm still learning. The things that worked last year are different now. The things that worked 5 years ago, the way that I started with my business, because the social media is changing so quickly. I'm always having to learn, right? There's things like what worked last week. Maybe I need to try something different this week. And that's what it says here. This isn't working. Instead, we switch it to, I'm going to try a different way. It's always that space of like, okay, like that didn't work. That's okay. I'm going to try something new. And then this last one, I'm not good enough. I know that thought jumps up in my head often when I start comparing, when I start looking around, right? But when we switch that, I'm like, no, I'm doing my best. I'm sometimes like you've seen that that graphic that's like sometimes if 100% of your effort is 20% that day, like if you've only got 20% to give, that's still giving 100%. And that for me rings true where I'm like, there's some days where I'm like, I'm doing everything I can and I'm going to have a lot of grace over that. And so this whole mindset, I share this because I want you to know that the thoughts that come up, the feeling of like I'm terrified to reach out. What are they going to think of me? All those thoughts still come up in my head. All those thoughts come up in all of our heads. When we reach out and no one responds, the thoughts that come up that we make about ourselves, like what does that mean about us? The thought when we have a customer that returns their order and, closes their account, all the things, right? There will be resistance, but the only way that you are going to find success in this business is leaning into that resistance and remembering like it's, I've heard the whole phrase of when you're going through turbulence, like you're in an airplane, you're going through turbulence, that means you're moving to like the next level, right? Like you're moving through that resistance. That resistance is hard and it's pushing against you, but you're moving into a new space. And so I want you to know you're not alone as we talk about like all of this, as you're starting, getting into this, you're coming up with your list, you're reaching out and having conversations. This is the time your mind starts freaking out and like, what are you doing? Like, stop. This is so much harder than I thought it would be. That's okay. And so I want you to lean into that and know that you're not doing anything wrong because those thoughts are coming up. I want you to be aware of them. And if you need to write down sentences or something that combats that, do that. I did that in the very beginning where I had verses that I was like leaning into. I was like, no, I'm speaking this truth because my mind doesn't naturally want to believe that. So I'm going to speak this truth over my business, over myself. Okay, so that is mindset. And as we get into a as we talk about mindset, as we're having conversations, we're reaching out. This is a phrase that Jack Canfield came up with that I heard 9 years ago, and I have stuck with it for so long. Because as we're having those conversations, like we said, sometimes like the fear of even like, what are people going to think? Are they going to think that I am just friends with them just to sell them something? That was my biggest thing, is I didn't want people to all of a sudden, like, if I walked into the room, I didn't want them to like, stop making eye contact and like hide in a corner because they were afraid I was going to try to tell them about Plexus. And so learning to really sit with a service, like leading with service in my business, changed it for me. Like, I do have a product that I am selling, but it is a product that I believe with my whole heart changes lives. It's changed my life. It's something that I've watched it change so many people's lives. And so when I'm like, I'm not pushing supplements. Like, I'm not just here like, selling. I'm not here making a quota. I'm here because I believe in these products and I believe in the opportunity. So that frees me to genuinely love people well and to authentically share what I have to offer. And Jack Canfield has the saying, some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Because when I first started sharing and I had people not responding, I actually had some negative, like one of my friends, she posted on Facebook like this terrible thing. She was like, if I see one more post about Plexus, I'm gonna, and she just went off. And like deeply, deeply hurt me. I remember crying. I remember thinking, is this what everyone's thinking? And I had to come back to this place of like, I know my heart. I know why I'm doing this. I know what it can do for other people. And so I am not going to sit in this space of what people are thinking, because I know my heart, and I know that the right people, God has people for me to serve. And so I have to show up in that space, right? And if I lead with a heart of service, I can sleep well at night, right? So it's this idea of like adding value. Sales follow value. And that really truly is what I think when you're starting these conversations, you're sharing and you're posting, letting go of that fear of what are people going to think, because some people will not understand it. And that's okay. That's okay. They aren't the people that you're meant to serve right now. They may come around and understand it later, but for right now, you are called to serve certain people and they are waiting for you. And so don't let the fear paralyze you from having conversations and from showing up genuinely. And so as you're sharing, I wanted to share this method. It's called the feel, felt, found method. Because as you're starting to have conversations, people are going to have objections. Objections are simply when someone says, they come back with something, like you offer the health products, you send them a reach out, and they, they're like, oh, that sounds expensive. I don't have the money. That's not my budget. You can use this method. It's called the feel, felt, found method. And it's a way to connect with them, because an objection is simply their mindset telling them no. It's simply telling them they don't have enough information. It's not for them. Don't get involved in that, X, Y, and Z. Everybody has a different little, thought that pops up. But basically, it's the same thing we were talking about with mindset regarding our business. It's the same thing that pops up for them, right? 80% of our thoughts are negative. So when you're sharing with people, it's okay. You almost want to expect objections, because that's simply them voicing what is stopping them. It's their hurdle that is stopping them from saying yes. And I actually have learned to embrace objections, because what it shows me is that everyone has something stopping them from saying yes. And so if I don't know what it is, I can't help them overcome that hurdle. And so I actually, I love when people share why they're saying no or why they're saying not yet, because it helps me to know, oh, they just need more information, or they need help in breaking down what what their objection is. So you have this method, it's feel, you hear out the objection. So you listen closely to what they're saying. And most likely you or someone you know has been in their shoes with a similar circumstance or concern. So if someone says that it's not in their budget, oh, I feel that, because I was in that exact same position when I first started looking at Plexus. So I hear that. I show empathy by letting them know that myself or someone else has been there too, and sharing how we overcame that. So it's the feel, felt, found method. You can see that phrase at the top. I understand how you feel. I felt the same way when I started, but here is what I found. And so it's this method of walking through. You can do this with every single objection, whether you personally struggled with that same objection or someone that you know. It can be for the business, it can be for the products, the price, whether they need supplements. It can go in every single way, but it's this, as you're starting to have these conversations, I wanted you to have this in your tool belt of being able to overcome objections, because for most people, when they hear oh, it's not in my budget, they immediately are like, oh, okay, well, when you can afford it, let me know. And they just kind of move on. They don't understand that it's something that we can work through. And so as objections come up, don't be afraid of them. Actually use them as a way to connect and offer more information. So a lot of times with this, I'll send a testimony of someone that maybe they couldn't afford their products. And so what they did was they got 3 friends to start with them on the very same day, and they made $300, and then they were able to afford their products plus next month's products. So something like that. So I wanted to share that with you. Now, as as we're talking about objections, I put out a couple different responses for ones that are the most common. A lot of times people will think, oh, I don't need supplements. I exercise, I eat healthy. I'm not struggling with any specific health issue, so I don't need them. So here is the feel, felt, found method in every single different scenario. You've got the can't afford it. You've got people say, oh yeah, I've tried that kind of stuff before, or I've tried everything before and nothing worked. So you can say this in every single different way. So I'll just read out one real quick. Yes, I will give you all the slides for these so that you have them. I'll put them all in the mentorship group. So, yes. So it says, Samantha, I can totally relate. I have tried many different fad diets in my life as well. I even tried those dangerous diet pills, but I found the other things didn't work because some root issues of health weren't being addressed. May I share with you how gut health and blood sugar balance may be the missing pieces of your health journey? So something like that, this is something that I've had a lot of people like, oh, I've tried everything before, nothing works. So that's something that you could say. So here are business objections. I'm putting this up here and I'll again put the slides in the group. I'm putting this up here. Next week, we're going to start talking about the business more. We're really focusing on the health products right now, but I wanted you to also have this. These are the most common, I don't have time, or somebody that just got started, a new customer just got started, and you talk to them about the referral program and they're like, I need to actually like have my own results first. Or the most common one, I am not a salesperson. So these are wordings that you can use to help them work through their mindset and their objections. We are going to chat real quick about events, because as you've got your list, you've started posting, you've started having some conversations and reach outs. Events are so, so important because it is a way to, it's almost like a third party validation when you have something to invite your people to. So we have a team event this Thursday night. I'll share about it in the mentorship group. It is a YouTube live stream all about the products. It's about 22 minutes long. And it's simply sharing about the Plexus products. Okay. So why we do these is because it gives you a reason to reach out to someone and something to invite them to. Instead of, sometimes we get lost in these conversations and we don't know how to get the conversations to move. Events really give you this tied down an invitation, truly invitation, and then a space for you to follow up and all the things. So we have this Thursday night the live stream all about the health. I will post different, we've got slides that you can post in your stories about the ones down here at the bottom, and that you can post in your stories about and let people know. I always put some kind of way for them to either like a slider or a poll to click on so that you know that they're interested. So you can put like on the last slide, you can put like a little slider on, like a little sticker slider, and say like, if you want the link, let me know. And that way, then you can message them the link. But what I want, part of your homework is to post in your stories, and then also to post on your news feed. And I have got wording that I'll also put up for you to do. You can be as creative as you want. You can make a reel, you can make any kind of, you can share your story. But I'll go ahead and give you kind of a copy of, like, if you're like, I just need somebody to tell me what to post. I've got all that. So I will post that in the group later tonight. But yes, and then personally inviting your friends. So it's kind of three different angles. We have the event, but this is where we put on we do all the work as far as putting on the event, but your job is to invite people to it and to get the word out there. Because your people, it really is an opportunity for them to hear all about the Plexus, their Plexus products. And we give you all the wording, all the things to say. So this is the event. This is the graphic. I'll have that in the group page for you. Again, it's a live stream on YouTube, so they don't have to be on Facebook, because I know we've got a lot of people that are on Instagram only. So it's a YouTube live. As you're inviting to events, I'll have this all for you. I've got the wording, so you can literally copy and paste it, but you can say, hey, Sarah, I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. Go into a little bit of personal information or something and say, I'm not sure if you've seen anything, but I've been posting about Plexus, but are you interested at all in learning more about the products Thursday night? It's a quick live stream over on YouTube. You can always watch the replay. Would you like me to send you the link so you can check it out if you get the chance? So that's kind of a general invitation. Again, we talked about last week, voice texting or a video message, something that is a little bit more personal. You can also take this and make this as personal as you want. Okay, this is just kind of a general layout. And then what to do based on how they respond. So how to respond if they say yes. If they don't respond, I usually, the morning of, or like right before the event, I usually just jump in and be like, hey, I know you were super busy. I meant to go ahead and send you the link. Check it out. There's going to be a replay. You can totally be a fly on the wall, no biggie, but I wanted you to have the link in case you were interested. So And I will tell you, that's the majority of people. Like there's no response, but I go ahead and I send them the link, and I will tell you, curiosity gets most of them. Most of them do end up watching. And then if someone responds with no, thank you, or not right now, that's when I actually turn it into asking for a referral. I let them know that my business works off of word of mouth. And if they know anybody that is struggling with gut health, energy, mood, digestive issues, weight, immunity, etc., I would really, really love if they would pass my information along. So I kind of turn it into a referral opportunity. So that is what we are going to be inviting to the event. Now, after the event, I want to give you this because we don't meet till next Tuesday. So I want you to have a little bit of like, after the event on Thursday night, what to say. So after the event, I write down every single name that I had reached out to, or every person that liked, commented, they wanted the link. I write down every one of their names, and I follow up with them after the event, either that night or the next morning. And I ask them for feedback. I ask them if there was anything that stood out to them. So I always say, thank you so much for checking out the event. And sometimes if they didn't actually get to watch it, this will be a reminder to watch the replay. But I say, thank you. It means a lot to me. I'd love your feedback. Is there anything that stood out to you? So that's kind of the message that I get the conversation going. And then if they're like, yeah, like I had no idea that gut health helped with X, Y, and Z. I'm really struggling with this. This is then when you can create that three-way chat that we talked about last week. Three-way chats are a little chat that you'll make with you, your Plexus sponsor, and your friend, and really offer, actually, I didn't even ask them. I usually just create the message and say, and let them know, say, hey, I've only been in this, for a little while. I've got my Plexus sponsor who has helped me. And I want to make sure that we get you the right information. So hold on real quick. I'm going to put us in a chat. And then I let my Plexus sponsor kind of take it away. That way, product recommendations, all the things really, your Plexus sponsor can help you with that. So three-way chats are huge. If you feel super confident and you feel like you, sometimes like I have leaders who will just message me and ask me the questions like, hey, they're dealing with X, Y, and Z. What should I recommend? And then I'll send them send them kind of copy paste wording, and then they go and send it to their friend. So you can do it a lot of different ways. But I wanted you to have that as you have these conversations going. Now, real quick, because I'm going to give you your activity challenge for the week. But as we are going week by week, we are adding steps into your activity. So every day, we call these our Plexus activities. These are just daily tasks that we do that build our business. So you're going to see that we kind of started at the top. This is the one that I personally use. Now, you guys we're starting at kind of at ground zero, right? We started with really the connecting and the reach out. We talked about creating our list. We talked about adding new friends, about reaching out. We're starting with the products right now. We are going to move on to talk about the business next week. But we talked about posting and getting in your stories. So we're kind of layering it step by step. So as you're going this week, I want you to continue doing the same activities that you did last week, okay? I want you posting on your social media about Plexus. I want you showing up in your stories. Talk about Plexus in your stories. Continue to add to your list, okay? And continue reaching out. Part of your reach outs are going to be about the event this week. So we've got you covered on that. But I really wanted to show you that we're just layering activities on step by step. And it's the things that we're talking about are not just a one time, like we post once and we'll get a new customer. Often it takes a over and over and over. And so your daily plexus activities should look like posting, having, and being in conversations. And so that's what we're really working on. So I wanted you to see this, that we're continuing this day by day by day. Now, this is going to be your activity challenge for the week. We're taking our list because as you reached out to 10 people, that means that there should be 10 new open spots, because on your sharing list, as you reach out to people, those people then move to your follow-up list, okay? So then you want to keep this list, your sharing list, it's an active and growing list. And so as you're reaching out, you're making room for new names, okay? So I'm going to encourage you to add 10 more names to your list, okay? So that's part of your challenge. That's step 1. Step 2 is you are going to make a post about Thursday night's health event that's over on YouTube. Again, I will give you the stories to share, and I will also give you wording for a post. Again, you can always really use your own creativity. I always believe like doing a photo of yourself, a photo of your family, whatever, you taking your products always catches people's eye. So you can use any of these graphics for sure, but also don't forget the power of showing your face, because it really does go a long way. So you're going to post about the event in your newsfeed and in your stories. And then step 3, you are going to reach out about the event. And I will put this in the mentorship group so that you can copy and paste it, so that you'll have this graphic, but I'll also have it in the comments so that you can copy paste it, the wording. But you're going to reach out to 10 friends, you guys. Okay, you're going to reach out to 10 friends and invite them. It's a personal invitation to watch the event. And so this is time sensitive because the event is on Thursday night. So I'm going to post this tonight in the group. So that means Wednesday and Thursday, it is go time for that. So let's see. I hope that here's my little, hi. So I hope that we kind of flew through that again. But this week, it's really all about the event. We wanted to offer you where you had something to post about, something to reach out about, and all the things. And so any questions specifically over this week? Nope. Okay. All right, friends. Well, that was week 2, mindset, obstacles, and our health event. So it's going to be a super great event. And the beautiful thing about it is that the live stream, that link turns into an immediate replay. So if you've got people that can't watch it live, they can follow that link and watch it immediately after. So you can keep using that as the opportunity to keep sharing and keep having conversations. All right, friends, you guys have a wonderful Tuesday night, and we will see you next week. Bye.